up, guys? We're back with the Z3 one more time, and we're gonna hopefully try and get it running in here. Where we left off, we were waiting on parts to show up. Parts showed up. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time, so I just started working on it. I had help here, so we started doing stuff. Unfortunately, with everything I've got going on, that's what happens here. So we started getting the heat exchanger mounted, and like I said, we're using the original AC condenser mounts. I still have to make brackets for the bottom so it's not flopping around and stuff like that. So this is what we ended up with. Just a little short 90, and I've got the charge pipes done. They're all welded up. As I had Jordan was here. It's been a long time since he's been in any of the videos. We'll probably be in some of them here, as we've got a lot to do on this. The engine's only a mock-up, you know, no clutch flywheel. I got to do the front cover, gaskets, all that, water pump. There's a ton of stuff to do on this, and we're going to try and hammer it out. So I still got to finish up the motor mounts, put all the gussets in. I've got a ton of welding to do, unfortunately. So what I started working on were brackets to hold this intercooler in place so it's not bouncing around. So I have one here already. I drew up in CAD quick, and I don't know, I'm probably gonna drop stuff and all that good stuff. So there's holes in the frame down here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that hole right there. And this bracket, if I can get my hand down in here, and so that's gonna sit there like so. I'm gonna make a flat plate. I've got another one over on the table that I've already cut, and we're gonna build a standoff. And like I said, I don't have enough time, but we're gonna redo this. I just don't like the way it looks. And I'm gonna make a design that comes over and covers the top of this intercooler, kind of just give it something different. I mean, we've went this far with the thing, and this makes stuff real easy. I just draw it up in CAD quick, cut it up on the table. If I was doing this by hand, it'd take days. So, and we've got to do this manifold and the downpipe, and then this engine can come back out, and then we're going to get this running in this video. So give me a minute, and we'll get a little more into the brackets and stuff and how we're going to set this all up. I mean, you can kind of get an idea where we're going with this. And I'm also going to make a water expansion tank for this liquid air setup. And for right now, I don't want to get into it. I was going to, but the heater did work in this car still. But we're hitting this, so at that point, I'd have to make a new bracket off the firewall for the heater valve and mess around all kinds of tubing and stuff to get that back up to there. But me and Jordan were messing around. We were thinking to ourselves, what if we just hook it to the heat exchanger? I mean, you get 100-degree temperatures. It's good enough for, well, even 50-degree temperatures is good enough to defrost the window. And it's just going to give more efficiency, more coolant, more lines to the liquid to air water setup, and just get rid of the heater valve. But we'll see. I'm contemplating, because I do like a defroster and stuff like that. So let me get to getting that stuff out of the table and everything else, and we'll get a move on this, and we'll show a little more than normal. All right, still being horrible on videoing, but we got this all apart and this all apart, and I started making a cool expansion tank, which I didn't want to go crazy welding, whatever. I'll make like a little beauty thing so there's a little gap in here, because I don't have anything to, if I had an English wheel, I'd bend that nice and whatever, but it is what it is for now. So we're going to be coming off the intercooler to the top, bottom to the top of the other cooler. So we have an expansion tank, which is always good, because the more fluid you have, the better it can cool. But I've been working on this bracket for the intercooler that is way better than, we started with this on the back, and then we were going to weld to it. Like, no. So I got a little carried away, and here it is, for the most part. So this should do it, other than having to sandblast it and paint it and all that good stuff. Yeah. So, but that's the other thing too, is playing around with the table, getting good with it and whatnot. So that's where we are with that. We've got a couple standoffs here with sleeves in it, right there. So I have to design some mounts off of that to that, and then we're all mounted up there. So we're starting to get some leeway, and then I started playing with, I don't even know where the parts went. Right here is to mount the pump. So this will clamp onto the pump. Sorry with the videoing. And it's got rubber in it, which will come out, and then clamp pipes, because I was gonna buy a clamp for it and then have to do a bunch of elaborates. But somehow my screw ups for the intercooler mount over there will turn into an awesome pump mount, because this will come off the frame. There's the sides that come down, which will hold this off the frame. So really overkill for over there. I gotta take it together and whatnot, but that's where we're heading with that. And then that's gonna clamp the pump and hold it. The pump is going to sit basically in orientation like this, down here. Trying to look and film at the same time. Basically hold this pump right there, and then it's going to feed the intercooler around with the loop and then off the front of that. So let me get back to this, and yeah, I don't know if we're going to get this running in this video, because I just had to order a bunch of fittings and parts, but we're getting closer and closer and closer, and that's where we are. So give me a minute and we'll have an update here. All right, been working on this, and we're kind of in our final form. I do have some stuff permanent on this. The turbo's permanent, oil line's permanent, intercooler is permanent. And like we were saying, when I moved the heat exchanger up and got a better mount on it on the bottom, so we still using the mount up top, and then we're just tied right into the radiator in the bottom. And what I had to do is I cut the neck, the filler neck off the top of the heat exchanger, and actually welded it on the tank. And then there's that beauty deal that I made for the tank. So all those lines are done. And when I was talking about the water pump, there's the mount. I don't know if I can get you down in here. And there it's mounted. Like I said, we were gonna mount it. So that is that. We've got the blow-off valve in, and then I decided I'm gonna do a raising rate fuel pressure regulator, so that threw a curveball into this. And mounted the regulator there. There's really not a lot of places to mount the regulator. So I've been working on that, mounted it there. I gotta make the fuel lines for this. And the downpipe, I'm gonna have to extend the exhaust, because this length that I'm at right now, I can barely get it in the car. I don't know if I can get a good shot here, because I don't have it up on stands right now. So it comes out right there. So I'm going to probably put a V-band there, and then put the flex pipe on the exhaust. The exhaust is way back there. So I've got to extend it and come up and connect to that, which is no big deal, and still get an oxygen sensor bung into it. Excuse me. So I've got to make new spark plug wires for some reason. These are too short on this engine. Not really sure what happened there. So I got to do the ignition coils and that. And then I've got to change some wiring configurations around in this. But the big thing is, this manifold was all hacked apart, as you can see, and they pulled all the vacuum fittings out of it and stuff. But I need vacuum for the blow-off valve, the brake booster, and that. I'm not going all the way over there for the booster. So I'm probably going to weld something on the back of this. I got a lot of tigging to do and pull these oil plugs out and stuff. And so basically, I've got to get into this intake manifold and get this all done. And then we're starting to look good. Other than the fuel system, I was hoping to have this running possibly today, but I know I'm going to run into some issues with fuel fittings and stuff like that. I got a mix between PTFE and regular 6AN, and I happen to have one of each in each style, so I'm waiting for a phone call back to see if somebody has a 90 for AN because I wanted to do not the black line because there's so much black stuff on this, and do the steel braided just to make it look a little nicer and stuff. And then I made a block off plate and pulled the pump motor off the ABS because it doesn't work anyways. So I'm still using that as a distribution block, and then have that block off plate where the motor was, so it frees up a little bit of room. So yeah, the turbo's all permanent, oil lines to it, all that. Intercooling plumbing is all done except for one clamp, and then I can fill this with coolant. The coolant system for everything is actually done, so I can actually fill everything with coolant. And I got to flip-flop an AN line round up in the front, and then we're good to fill it with oil. So we're looking good. And then I got to make a bunch of grounds. Yeah, so we're getting there. Like I said, hopefully we'll have it running in this video. And somewhere find my ECU cover, because that's been driving me nuts for some reason. But I also have a real-time input module to put in it, and I was going to wire that in, and then I have to wire, well, I'm going to wire in the heat exchanger temperature sensor so I can monitor that, and the pump. And then I realized I have a fan for this setup, and I have a actual fan for this hooked to the fan controller, so I can actually run the ECU with that coolant temperature sensor and kick the fan on. But nah, I don't even need to right now. So we're trying not to get too carried away. We're just trying to get this done at this point. Yeah, and then let it sit until the 12 feet of snow melts. So I like to listen to music while I work, and that's part of the reason why I'm horrible at videoing, because you can't do that with the videoing. So let me get into this intake manifold and fuel lines, and we'll be right back. All right, so things got a little hectic here, and I haven't been able to film, but I wasn't going to leave this video on a hanger. It is complete for the most part. We've got all this done. The intake's done. Like I said, I came over, installed I put a fitting in for the brake booster right there, and we got the MAC valve hooked up, wastegate, all that stuff, air box. We are going to be adding some stuff. It does run. I will cue to that here in a second. Up and bring the idle down. But I got to get all this reinforcement in the rear control arms and stuff. And where we're at now is I actually have the cruise control all wired up and stuff. And now I need to come in here because we're doing trash control and all that stuff. And I got the ABS module out of the car and have the ABS wires. I have the two fronts figured out. I have to figure out the two rear. Well, I'll be doing that. Well, yeah, well, I'm doing the reinforcement. For right now, until I can 3D print something, I have the cruise control out of the RX-8 in here. Everything works, and I did the radio and stuff. So I can key on. Yep. And then you'll, oh, the horn works. You can see they even light up. So I've got all that in, and then it's just cruise on, set, and then cancel. This, I have boost control, traction control, and then over where the fog light was, I have launch control and anti-lag. So we're gonna get this done and have it running, but we still have 10 feet of snow outside. So we're there, but we're probably gonna be going to a digital dash. Also, I did get the roll bars in, and it makes it look 100 times better than not having them. And I also am going to go pick up a hood tomorrow. So let me get back into this, and I'll show you exactly what we're doing with the reinforcements while we're in there. All right, let's see if we can keep this straight. So we're under here, and so the one bracket, this one, goes right here. So we gotta pull and bend this brake line. There's my ABS wiring, so I'll be opening that sheath and seeing what colors they are, and then I will know what the last set is. So these, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do them on the car right now. And then there's the gusset that goes up front too, that little triangle piece. But these slide, if I'm on the right side and not blocking the light, these slide in here up front. Oh my goodness. Trying to show and all that. So, yeah, we got all the wiring in the way. These slide into here. I probably got it upside down right now. That slides in like so, and then you have this piece after, oh my goodness, comes in this way, sits on the control arm and welds in. Yeah, I don't have this in here right at the second. It'll be easier once I get the wheel off and stuff. But for right now, before, because I am going to be dropping the subframe to do some bushings and stuff, so I will get those at some point now that I can't get this out of here. So anyways, and then the next thing I have to do, unfortunately, I don't know how well you can see or if I get in here. So when I was pulling this in, yeah, now you can see, I start ripping the bumper off. So I've got to flatten that all back out and weld it back in and get the bumper off to do that. So I'm going to be busy here for a minute, and we'll get back and hopefully have some of this stuff on. Okay, so it's been taking me about 2 months to get this video done because I've had so much going on with the building and stuff. So where I left off, I got the bumper back on, straightened out, banged back in, and stuff like that. So we're all good there. My taillight's in the back of the car, all that good stuff. And then for those brackets, they're in, welded on both sides. And then the front one, gusset's in there too. I've got to pull this diff out at some point. It's probably going to be a while. I'm going to order the rest of the bushings through the control arm because that bushing is terrible. And when I let off the gas, it bangs. So that's getting replaced. But anyhow, we got another hood for it. I started stripping it and getting it fitted up and stuff like that. So no more single hole in the hood. Now we got 3. And I got to switch my grills over. But the hood needed a little work. I got it cheap. It's fiberglass. A little more weight savings on the car because it's already stupid and stuff like that. And then I've got my 500 miles on the car because, like I said, it's been, you know, weeks and weeks. So did the first break-in, got a little bit video putting around with it at like 4,500 RPM, went up through the mountains and stuff. I'll put that in there. And started making a heat shield so I don't fry my ECU, which this is a lot cooler now because I actually just had it out on the road. But that's the start of the heat shield. It's not done. I'm gonna come down over this and block some heat from the fuel rail and then box a little bit of this into the front. Also, I don't know if I put it in there, made a catch can for it, stuff like that. All the ABS wires are wired in. I put a baro sensor in it so it'll adjust from me going up in the mountains down to town. Airbox intake temperature sensor, intercooler water temperature sensor. Put the E85 sensor in. I haven't not done it yet, but we'll get into that. So yeah, a little bit of a long video, guys. Wanted to sum it up because I got sidetracked and couldn't get into the video. So I'm gonna put some of that footage up here. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps a lot. And thanks for watching, guys.